We live in a world where everything is so instant that we tend to tune out the human experience. We are so busy trying to get from point A to point B that we take for granted the journey in between. Everyone's searching for that connection, but is anyone questioning the instant satisfaction? There is a place where this all gets left behind, and it starts with the search for peace of mind. Harvest Festival is a music event that takes place during the harvest moon every September in Berks Falls, Ontario. Just a 4-hour drive up north from Toronto, it is an atmosphere secluded from the busy city life and the demanding digital world. Harvest is an underground festival that caters to a genuine, mature, and diverse crowd. It is nothing like the commercialized festivals found in the Greater Toronto area. After hearing about the event through friends, I decided to check it out. I had no idea that Harvest would become my new home. Harvest is hosted on the land of Midlothian Castle, a private farm owned by Peter Camani. Most noted for his eerie screaming head statues, Peter is an artist of many forms. Over the years, his property has transformed to fit the needs of the festival, and I was extremely welcome to pick his brain on how Harvest came right to his doorstep.
So I built the first statue on the field in 1995. And the reason, as I say, once I did one, I saw how easy it was to make it, so I wanted to get certain effects. So I have built roughly 84 more. The ones outside the ballroom tend to be claws, so they're coming up out of the earth as if they are in a form of protest. When I finished those 4, I started working up here in 1996 and 1997. I did them in 2 layers, 2 years. And basically I did the centers them on ground and then lifted them up. That gave me space to do the outer ring. So it was a 2-year project to do these. And again, I like the effect of the screaming head in that it is a sort of like a quiet protest. It's like if you want to refer to the elections in the States, there's a lot of people that have apprehension, and I think that these work out well for that, because you really don't know what's going on, and even if you know, you really can't do much about it. Although I mean the setup is magnificent, and everybody's kind of impressed with that. But I do find, even myself, that sound going through the night can cause a number of problems.
Touch me.
Well, Harvest, when it first came here, was just a one-night event. And all the venues were in the backfield. Over the years, it has moved out from that area. 10 years ago, people were restricted to where they camped. But now, certain people have favorite campsites. So they're all over the property. They're in the woods, all over the place. And a lot of them are grouped. You have various groups in various places. But so it has changed a lot since it first started. Certain requests of Harvest Fest, for example, I would not have built a massive fire pit that I built. And so basically, they just mentioned the fire pit. I tend to have extreme ideas, so basically, I made a large, very noticeable fire pit, and it's got many, many circles. But that reminds me again of primitive Celtic work. They would like to have used this spot for the Friday night when people were arriving, and to me, it becomes very, very magical. When you have 700 or 800 people up here, bonfires going, like it creates a mood that you don't see elsewhere.
I wanted to bring people to an event that was centered around a really big bonfire. I was already producing electronic music events and going to events and working in events since 1994, with my first event being 95, and I think this was 98. I really liked the idea of being outside. At that time, it was Thanksgiving. It's cold, like massive bonfire, like huge bonfire with lots of people cheering and whatnot. And how could I do that? What would be the best way to do that? Obviously, incorporate music that brings people together and shares a more broad experience.
Harvest Festival was founded by Justin Martins, a music event organizer with an obligation to create a unique experience for fellow music lovers. He throws events year-round in Toronto that cater to the Harvest community, often in funky lofts that create a social atmosphere. These events allow patrons to strengthen the connection they found at Harvest and bloom into long-term relationships rooted in a passion for music.
With the screaming head magnets, the shirts and all the rest, that there's a real sense of something that ties them together. For one thing, it's an identifier. This isn't the feature, but the screaming head on the cars, people see them all the time, and there's that connection that reminds them to the event as well. I think that's a sense of individual belonging to a special community, a special group. And I was involved in the early electronic music days in Toronto. It was really sort of a similar comparison in some ways. In a lot of ways, not in every way, for sure. A lot of vast differences, but it was that you're going to a quote, rave. So maybe there's 1,000 of you out on a weekend. And if you identified yourself with somebody apart from within that specific thing, there was a real connection. It's the same thing with Harvest Festival. It's like there's 1,500 of us that go away at a cold, wet time of year. And it's because it's not part of everyday mainstream culture, media, etc. People see that it's not a corporate festival where everything's just, you buy a ticket and it just pays for everything and people are working and it's just what they do every weekend for a different employer. It's much more beneficial to have people get something a lot more out of it that are building the festival than just, their week-to-week paycheck. There's a lot of relationship building, a lot of time for the people who are helping in that regards to come up with their own personal touches and to share ideas as to what they can bring to the event in terms of making it better, and that all filters down to everyone who buys a ticket and comes. It completely changes the environment of the event. Economically, it's some people might hear, oh, it's a volunteer run festival, it must be cheaper to run, you must do that to save money, or you can allocate more money into other resources and whatnot. Actually, that's not true. It probably costs about the same whether we were to run with volunteers for 8 weeks or hire a crew for 2 weeks and produce the whole event like that. But that's not the event we want to throw. If you were to look at Harvest Festival as a product, it's a good product. If we desired, or somebody else was to desire to take what we have and blow it up, commercialize it, I think it would be so successful potentially that it may actually kill it. It's 2 months of our life every year where we basically take everything and live 5 days a week in this beautiful place.
I thought it was appropriate to ask some of the patrons why they keep coming back to Harvest year after year. One of my good friends, Nicole, brought her singing bowls to the festival, which drew a big crowd at the Screaming Heads. Sound healing is something Nicole is really passionate about, and her perspective on mental health ties in well with the Harvest community. Everyone has their own story, but Nicole's really hit home on why she needed to be here.
How many Harvests have you been to? This is my 3rd time here, and actually I wasn't even going to plan on coming this year, but I thought about it, and Harvest has been so transforming for me so many different ways. Like I always come here wanting to uncover something else about myself or do some personal growth, and I don't know, almost like I didn't want to come because I wanted to avoid it. I wanted to sort of avoid like coming and revisiting some past feelings, but I feel like I'll always keep coming back because it's the experience of me growing as a person, and I feel like I really benefit from almost like Harvest makes you deal with your personal being and your truths and like sort of what you want out of yourself. So I feel like almost like I owed it to myself to be here again to better myself and also test myself and like where I'm headed as a person. So at age of 20, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and cliff note version of the story, tried like medication and all that type of stuff, and then ended up getting into alternative healing, which through looking through research and just doing things online, I came across sound healing. I was really intrigued and it really resonated with me. So back in 2012, I started collecting the quartz crystal singing bowls and ended up acquiring a full set. You have the bowl, and then you have to have it on either a gasket or hold it in your hand. Make sure it's not touching anything that's going to muffle the vibration, but it's used with like a dowel, sort of like a felted dowel, and then you rub it around the rim. It's called rimming, and yeah, it creates the friction, creates a vibration, and then that creates the sound that we hear. And there's many different singing bowls out there, resonating like different sounds and tones, but I have a set full of 7, and they go through almost like the music scale. There's so many benefits to sound healing. Definitely, it helps align your chakras. Chakras are like energy centers, like wheel vortexes that we receive energy and we give energy on a daily basis. So sound healing helps almost resonate and put the body into more of a present state and more of a harmonic state, not just on the physical level, but also like the mind, the body, the soul, all just sort of get like a cleanse, like it's like a refresher. Also has been proven to help with like help healing any type of like ailments, like diseases. Binaural beats is really popular too for treatments of chronic pain to headaches. I feel like this is a movement. It's almost beyond us. Like being into sound healing, it almost we come into question like why we're all attracted to sound. So it's like almost like something in the soul root of our being. And they believe in something good, and they want something good for the future. So I think it just doesn't draw one type of artist. Like there's different people and different genres here, and it's something that they can fully support and their whole hearts, and just give a lot of like emotion towards it. They're all very genuine in seeing something true, and it's almost like people come from all over that have attended all the time, and they say nothing can take away or compare to like the feeling that Harvest gives.
As a community, we do a lot of benefit for the food bank, which a lot of people in that community of Burkes Falls, Ryerson Township, are really dependent on because it's a very economically depressed area. We also hire quite a few local people to help facilitate the staff through, you know, the more the after harvest festival sort of side of things. I think that helps them. I think people take on the mentality, first of all, of connectedness. I think that they have the opportunity to go to an outdoor event that is special, that a lot of love goes into, and not necessarily, I'm speaking from myself and the people who work on the event, everybody contributes and brings a huge piece to the puzzle of a fantastic event that you celebrate the changing of the seasons. I think that is something that people really bond about and over as well, that it's not an event for the faint at heart. It is something for somebody to be prepared for. And when you're done and kiss summer goodbye and welcomed in fall, and traditionally that's a time of year where people kind of like have a change in their seasonal life, go from the fun and carefreeness of summer to this is sociologically, go to a more work-related downtime sort of fall, get back into the swing of things life. And that harvest brings that moment of change to fruition, and people feel connected by sharing it.
I usually say there's 5 seasons. You got winter, spring, summer, harvest, and fall.